markets with Trader Nick. In this show, Nick will cover the latest market trends, whether they're rising or falling. Stick around to hear about trade ideas, latest news, and much more. Remember that trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Today's stream is made possible by our partners and sponsors. If you're looking for a new broker, trying to get funded, or looking for a trading community to join, consider checking out the links in the description below. By using these links, you'll get access to great products and be supporting the channel. And now it's time for Live in the Markets with Trader Nick.
3, 2, 1.
My name is Nick. I'm a full-time trader and entrepreneur. We put out tons of stuff for free for traders. These are real trades. This is real money. I'm putting my money on the line. This is going to be a live trading video. Here, locking in over $1,000 on this trade. Wow, I'd love to get in on this. Technical insights that really look good to me. Here we go. We're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another live stream. This is, of course, a big one. It's usually our biggest stream of the month. We've got NFP to talk about, and my goodness, is this going to be an interesting NFP to watch unfold. Welcome back to the stream. If you're new to the channel, subscribe real quick. This is free trading content Monday through Friday. We usually do this at 9:30 a.m. US Eastern. However, with NFP, I like to try and get on here early and just cover kind of what's going on before the news actually drops. Now, if you're watching this back at a later time, basically what we're going to do here is I'm going to go through some setups. I'm going to talk about ideas and planning through this news. If you'd like to join us in the future, again, the best way to do that is to make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that when I go live, you get like some sort of notification on your phone that the stream is live. So hello to everybody in the chat. We've got people here. Hello to everybody who is joining me here live. We've got a little bit of time here to basically go through some charts and setups talking about the US dollar prior to NFP. Now, this is a big deal. And you may be asking, what is NFP if you're a very new trader? Basically, NFP is a reading in terms of unemployment here in the US. Of course, good unemployment numbers, meaning that there's less people unemployed, there's more people with more jobs. That's good for the currency, right? It's strong for the dollar. People want to place their money in a place where there is optimism and growth and, economic prosperity. People do not want to put something or put money into something that is hurting for, unemployment is poor. For example, if there was bad unemployment numbers, then we could potentially see the dollar come down. And the main reasoning there is that the unemployment rate is a very, very important figure for the Fed, which sets our monetary policy here in the US. And the more jobs that we have created, the better that is. The more optimistic the Fed may look at, raising rates and things like that, which are all positive catalysts for the dollar. So that's why NFP and unemployment numbers in general are a very important figure when looking at the currency market. So let's take a look at some USD pairs. And I wanted to start here just with the DXY itself. So let's take a look at the dollar. So here's the dollar. We'll look at it on a 1-hour chart here for a second. And what you can see is that the dollar is screaming to the upside. We see strength coming in here to the dollar. And notably, the news is not even out. The news has not hit the floor. However, we see the dollar rallying like crazy. Now, I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. We don't have a producer in the studio right now. However, I do want to ask you guys, can you just comment and let me know, going into the dollar here for NFP, what do you think? Are you bullish on it? Are you bearish on it? Are you looking to buy dips? Are you looking to sell this top? What do you think in terms of the dollar going into today's news? Comment real quick if you're watching this back later, or feel free to leave a chat. Let me know what you guys think in terms of what you think the dollar could do and your overall bullish or bearish bias on the pairs that we're going to be looking at today. Okay, so the dollar heating up. Why is it heating up? Well, there was some midweek news. In fact, let's go actually pull up some. This is probably a good reference point to start before we do some technical analysis. Let's take a look this week and kind of see what we had come into this week. So what you can actually notice is, of course, we do have NFP right here, right? We've got the numbers coming. So for reference, we are looking at, in terms of non-farm employment change, 407K is the forecast. So if this number is greater than, that would be good. If this number was less than this forecasted jobs numbers, that would be bad, right? More jobs, good. Less jobs, not so good. So that's one thing to pay attention to. Of course, the other main figure is we're going to be looking at that unemployment rate, which is expected to drop to 3.9%. If that comes in at 4%, 4.1%, or 3.8%. If it comes at anything different than that 3.9%, we will probably see some form of a spike on USD pairs across the board. Okay, so let's see what you guys had to say in terms of your concepts of selling DXY, bullish. What's up, Benito? Thanks for being here. What we'll trade on the basis of NFP. Nothing can't be said. Nope. Selling, bullish on the dollar, bearish on gold. How do you do, Mr. Nick? I'm good. Thank you for being here. Exactly. Bearish on gold. Go dollar. Go dollar. Why are you not sitting down? Because this is a big event, you guys. We got NFP. It's an exciting time. So I'm standing. It's also pretty early in the morning for me. It's usually when my streams are usually, so I had to get up real early to get here. So standing helps me stay lively and awake. So as you can imagine, these streams are a bit exhausting, but I love doing them. So it's a good exhaustion. It's kind of like having fun playing on the playground when you're a kid. Okay, so DXY, let's come back to this for just a second. The thing is, we have a forecast of pretty high 400K jobs. When you put that into perspective, there's some high expectations for the dollar right now, and reasonably so. This team has been winning, right? Let's find my white really quick. This team has been winning, right? That's the idea. You've got to be saying, okay, this is the winning team. If you watch soccer, football, baseball, whatever you watch, right? If you watch any sports, this is like the top dog winning team right now. If they underperform suddenly, it's going to be a big upset. It's going to be a big, surprise. And so that's what we've got to keep into mind when we look at the dollar right now. You've got to be saying, okay, yes, the dollar is real strong, but any disappointment here, we've got to be very careful. So looking at the dollar, if there's job numbers that come out not so great, where could we see prices come to? Well, let's look at the 4-hour chart and take a look here. If we see a cool down on this dollar thesis, if for those of you guys who are bearish on this, of course, this is, in my opinion, it's a bit of a tough one to sell. But if you are bearish on it short term, perhaps we could see a retracement back down to 97.8. Now, of course, I don't know what the numbers are going to be. We don't know the jobs numbers before they come out. But if they are poor or not as good as expected, we could very well see some dollar dips. And in my opinion, that would be an opportunity to look for buys. That would be my approach. If we started to see this thing blow off and sort of find resistance on the news, that sort of thing, I would definitely be looking for some bullish setups going into probably next week. So with that said, I'm still bullish overall. The Fed is quite hawkish right now. There's a lot of reasoning behind why I think that the dollar overall fundamentally can continue to go up. And this is something that we've been bullish on for a long time. On the channel, we've been bullish for several months. And so this is continuing to play out as we not necessarily expected, because markets do some crazy things in the meantime. But overall, we have kind of planned for dollar bullishness. That's been something that we've been talking about. Speaking of dollar bullishness, look at the euro dollar here today, you guys. Absolutely dropping off of a cliff and leaving me in the dust. I was not able to catch any of this move on any retracements. We didn't really get anything that was enough of a retracement here for me. But this is an excellent sell-off here. And either ways, we've caught plenty of this downside move over the last couple months. So I'm not too worried about it. It happens. Of course, there's a little bit of FOMO here, right? We've got to be very careful right now because there is that desire to want to be a part of these trends when they're happening. Don't get me wrong. But, the other thing that's more important to me than catching the move is catching a good reward relative to the risk that I took. If I took a huge risk right now trying to jump into a short trade, maybe it does pay out. But maybe if it doesn't, I don't want to get you stopped for way too many pips or things like that, right? Because look at this. If I was to sell this, where do I put a stop? If I was to sell right now, let me see, that's not a sell. If I was to sell, right? Where am I putting my stop loss? The closest place of resistance that I can even target is something like this. And I'm just not really comfortable personally risking 96 pips on this move. For me, that's a little bit too much. Now, if you're talking about the euro dollar and you say, okay, I want to short this thing, but we wait for a retest. Now you're talking a little bit more up my alley. Talking about 30 pips, something like that, waiting to see if we can get that retracement before looking to short. Absolutely down for that. So if we get some dollar weakness here this morning, which again, you might be saying, why dollar weakness? Well, if job numbers were to come out as less than expected, we could very quickly see the euro dollar recuperate some of these losses. Now, I'm not betting on that, and I don't think that that's necessarily what's going to happen. I'm just saying that if it does, that's a scenario in which I can see myself picking up some potential shorts on the euro dollar at resistance. So what I mean is if we see dollar weakness, if we see some jobs numbers that aren't great, perhaps there's some setup setups here. If we see some volatility that starts rallying the euro dollar in the short term, I will probably look for a retest sell, right? Let's just assume for a second that we've hit the bottom, which again is certainly an assumption. We've seen really aggressive selling pressure on the euro. Look at this. We've got a 38.2% retracement. I like this area for more sell side, and it's not necessarily chasing. My strategy, sometimes people will say, Nick, you look like you chase markets. And it's not that I'm chasing. What I'm doing is I'm going with the flow, right? The trend can go a lot longer than people expect it, right? So, you may have said, well, you were chasing over here, selling in this downtrend, or, you're chasing over here, selling in this downtrend. But it's not necessarily chasing. What I do is I wait for pullbacks in the context of momentum to the downside or to the upside if I am bullish on a pair. Now, I'm bearish on the euro for several reasons, but one of the main ones is, of course, the recent development with Russia and Ukraine. The euro is definitely something on my short list. It's just because of its exposure to those sanctions heavily from Russia and Ukraine situation, right? Europe, Germany does a lot of trade with Russia in terms of energy imports. So does France. So do a lot of those countries, right? So that has a negative impact on their economy, just like it does to Russia. And so for me, bearish bias on the euro has made sense for a few weeks. And the euro, you guys may have been seeing these pairs, but oh my goodness, the euros have just the euro pairs have just been getting smacked down. It's crazy. What is FOMO? FOMO is fear of missing out, right? You want to be in a move, so you YOLO into something, which is always in my book, it's 100% a bad idea. Even if it works sometimes, you're going to be building bad habits that can blow your account. Guys, we've got news in about 20 minutes here, actually 19 or so. And that news is set to probably move some USD pairs. If you are newer to trading Forex, if the stuff is something that you're just getting into, stick around because this should be interesting. The news spike usually will cause some volatility across the board for some dollar pairs. So we'll be taking a look at several on the list today. The next one that I wanted to talk about is, of course, the pound dollar. So let's take a look at GBP USD for those of you guys who trade it. And this is big stuff, you guys. Take a look at this with me. So if you're watching the pound dollar, does anybody trade the pound dollar? If you trade the pound dollar, type yes in the chat. I'm curious to see if any of you guys trade pound dollar. And I know pound dollar is a pretty popular pair, but this is a really key spot that we're currently sitting. You guys can probably see exactly what I'm about to talk about. Look at this support level, this support zone here at 1.3280. We do have a pretty significant spot. In fact, let's look at the 4-hour chart here for a second. This is really notable, you guys. The pound dollar failed out completely after trying to get off these lows once, twice, and now we're testing a third time. Let's see if people trade it. So in sells now, yes, but closing out. Gold, yes, currently in it now. Okay, cool. Yeah, so a lot of you guys trade the pound dollar. Okay, check this out. Pound dollar is sitting at a major level of support. Now, it's not necessarily that I'm looking to go long here, because in fact, quite the contrary. The dollar looks so strong, and I just would not be trying to buy the pound dollar. I wouldn't be trying to buy anything against the dollar right now. At least that's my opinion. Okay, so here's the thing, right? The pound dollar has been kind of consolidating between a couple different levels. We've basically seen 1.3425, this zone, hold as a resistance point very, very well. And this point here sure has been holding for the bulls for now, but we're right on the cusp of major news. And if there's any sign of dollar strength, this thing is probably going underneath the lows. Okay, so if you're watching pound dollar, let's look at this thing from a lower time frame perspective. Here's the 30-minute chart, you guys. And this thing looks like it's trying to break underneath. In fact, as we go into the news, you guys, if we fail underneath this, it's looking a little bit ugly for the pound dollar. And in fact, you may be saying, well, again, this looks like, why would I want to short here? But we on this channel very heavily focus on momentum trading. That is my style. That is my approach. I go with the flow. I don't try and fight this. So when I see the pound dollar going, down and making a move significantly lower on momentum, lots of strength here to the downside, and we've got a fundamental catalyst, the dollar strength that's been coming in recently due to Russia and Ukraine, hawkishness from the Fed, a lot of things stacking here, telling me that, I want to be a buyer of the dollar. And of course, that can change, and I can be wrong about my entries sometimes, but the overall story has been dollar bullishness based on the fundamentals. And so this thing breaking underneath the lows here, to me, if it was able to clear this level, any sign of a pullback looks like it technical short. It is just, this, I would call this pretty much a straightforward idea, right? Now, if you're very bearish on the pound dollar and you don't mind waiting for, maybe a pullback before then, perhaps there's something like this if you're looking for, a sell continuation trade. But again, the number one priority for me would be actually, that is kind of a nice idea, right? So you've got the swing high, swing low. Let's assume this is a low for just a second. Let's say we get some sort of a bounce off of support. 38.2%. If you're very bearish, perhaps you're looking for that breakout. But the thing that's more interesting to me right now, you guys, is we have big news in 15 minutes. 15 minutes from now, we are going to probably see some USD spikes. By the way, don't go anywhere before that spike and after. We've got lots of content coming to cover and to trade this stuff as it's happening. Now, if you're looking at pound dollar, the thing here is, the more interesting, even though this is kind of an interesting concept, the more interesting concept for me is that this range, right? This idea that we're talking about on the 1 hour chart, if we break and close underneath this level, what that tells me from a technical analysis perspective is that this level is then broken. Is it broken right now? I wouldn't call it broken just yet. It still looks like we are trying to hold this area. We haven't clearly broken out of it. Depending on how you draw it, it's very close. It looks very, very close to doing so. But sometimes you get, some of you guys may be familiar with the idea of very simple stop hunts, right? So for example, perhaps if there is a heavy-handed buyer here, what they may do is, if you're an institutional trader, let it dip just a bit underneath, catch a lot of the stop losses that are probably sitting around here, right? This is probably a very average approach to trading this. People putting buys with stop losses below. What often happens is we see something like this, breakdown and a reversal. So, just being cautious here, what I'd be more interested in seeing is show me that, okay, price, can get down there, grab a bunch of stop losses with strength. And then on a pullback, I'd be willing to potentially take a small risk for the breakout continuation, pullback idea. But again, pound dollar here, still very, very bearish. I mean, this momentum right now is really impressive to the downside. Guys, we will be taking a look at some things like dollar CAD. We'll be taking a look at gold, dollar yen. So we'll be taking a look at some pairs here going into the news. So stick around with me. We've got a lot to look at. If you guys would like to add some more pairs to the watch list, drop them in the chat. We'll try and take a look at some things, but let's take a look now at dollar CAD. So dollar CAD strengthening like crazy. The Canadian dollar came down pretty hard. I actually took a couple L's on the Canadian dollar. I bought CAD yen, CAD Swiss, both of which I was stopped out on my trades. So a little bit unfortunate there, but perhaps, well, the thing is, it's stop outs. People like look at them like they're the plague, but really stop losses are just a way to, know that you were wrong about a short-term trade. And there's always a second chance and another opportunity to take more trades. Again, stopping out. Sometimes I'll get comments. People will be like, Nick, you took 2 stop losses in a row. What's going on? Or 3 stop losses in a row. Listen, stop losses, if you have a very tight stop and your stop loss is a small figure of your account, it's not a big deal. It's just like you're trying to like throw darts at the board. Some of them are not going to hit. And then every once in a while, you'll catch a good one. And every once in a while, very rarely, you'll catch a bullseye. So that's kind of how I treat my trading. Is I'm not about trying to get, winners every single day all the time. What I'm looking for is great risk reward opportunities. If they work, excellent. I'll make my money on those. And if they don't, I'll take small losses and manage risk that way. That's just my approach. Now, speaking of dollar CAD, let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. Lots of strength coming in. The dollar very, very hot right now and breaking out here of what was a little bit of resistance. So we saw some downward structure kind of coming into this market. Now, dollar CAD has been kind of range bound. You can actually see, look at this. We kind of had some guys in the chat, and you may be familiar with the concept of like a Wyckoff spring. This kind of looks like a Wyckoff spring. The idea being basically price comes down and then shoots right past a major support level and reverses, grabs those stop losses and goes back the other way with a lot of strength. So the dollar CAD actually kind of looking bullish here. So the dollar, again, across the board has been very strong. If the dollar remains strong, if we see any pullback on the prices of oil, that could probably bring CAD down and actually get us up to some interesting target levels. So the dollar CAD to me looks like it wants to probably go up to 1.2787. And then of course the previous highs, you've got a couple targets up in mind here. So the dollar CAD looking pretty strong here. Big, sign of reversal here. Look at this candle. So Big candle came in there, really told us that, okay, buyers are in. They rallied off of this back into this consolidation zone, and now looking like it probably wants to try and push the limits and perhaps walk its way up here. Now, of course, we've got news here, you guys. In just 10 minutes, 10 minutes from now, we'll have some major news in terms of the US dollar. If you're watching any USD pairs, don't go anywhere. We've got coverage for this event for you guys here on the channel. If you're enjoying this stuff, do me a favor real quick. If you're newer to my content, make sure to subscribe. And if you're here and you're enjoying the content, just give it a thumbs up. Let's blow this stream up. This is about to be really exciting. We're going to get the people in here. We've got 765 of you guys. So if you don't mind just hitting the like button, I know YouTubers ask you all the time and you're probably annoyed by it, but it really does just help to get the stream promoted to more people and support the content. So thank you very much for that. So gold, I'm actually long on gold. Let's look at gold. I am long here. I actually hit my first target on this. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. So we've got gold and we've got a couple minutes here, 10 minutes. So let's do a little bit of discussion about gold. I'll share my trade here that I'm currently in just a second. Let me pull this up for you guys. So I'm long on gold. I currently have my stop loss at break even. So let's take a look at this together. So I mentioned that I got stopped out on CAD Swiss, so maybe we'll talk about that as well. We won't just talk about winners here. We'll talk about them all. So gold. Here we go, you guys. So I bought gold in 1926 on a pullback. I talked about it in yesterday's video. We ended up taking a position inside of the VIP group. 1926. So I actually went long 1926, which is right here at this level. You can see where I've got my entry. So I went long 1926. My stop loss was about 134 pips, which is actually not that much on gold. Gold moves a substantial amount of pips per day. And my analysis on that basically has been bullish on the Russia-Ukraine, bullish on gold due to the Russia-Ukraine tension, right? That tension causes uncertainty. Commodity prices are on the rise. We've seen oil rising and with it gold. So I basically had a bullish bias on gold the last couple weeks and decided to pick up back into my position here with a couple areas in mind. You can see there's the analysis initially that I shared with VIP members. So gold, you know, right now, the idea what I'm looking at going into NFP is I have my stop loss trailed to break even. So in fact, it looks more like this. I have the trade open on my backup broker. Since in the US, I have very limited options in terms of I can't trade gold due to just US regulations. They don't allow you to trade XAU USD. So I have to use a foreign broker. So anyways, gold. My stop loss is at break even. We've hit target 1, which was kind of my trigger for moving stops to break even. The next question is, can we get a breakout here? So when we look at gold, right, as we come back up to this top, what I'm looking for is on this news, if we get any pop, I will trail this stop loss that I have up to profit, and I'll try and continue to ride this because right now, until further notice, gold looks very strong. You may be asking, why do you target number 2 here? What's the idea behind this target? And again, this is the importance of using more than one time frame when using your analysis. Take a look. We've got the previous high, 24th of February. We tagged 1974 on gold. And I do think that if we see gold continue to strengthen, if we see commodity prices rising and continuing to do so, we will see potentially a return back to the highs. So that's my process on gold. We've got higher lows. We've got lots of strength here. We've got COT data telling us that institutional traders have been buying gold the last few weeks. And so putting it all together, we know retail traders are also net short on gold. You put all this stuff together, I am looking for a continuation pattern. I'm looking for a breakout. My stop loss is trailed to break even. So I'm at a spot where I can't lose on this trade, but if we get a pop, if we get a breakout to the upside, I could make some money on this. So yeah, that's kind of my approach there. By the way, you guys, we do have a free Discord version. So let me actually get that for you. So again, in the Discord, I share all the trades I'm taking. We have a chat room available. We have coaching webinars that we do. You can see the trades that are being taken by myself, Patrick, Annie, and Ivan. And we do have a free version. So let me grab that link for you guys real quick. Give me just a second. I'll get that link and drop it in the chat. I don't have anybody in the office with me yet today because we are here early. We're doing an early stream for you guys here because of course we've got NFP. So I'm in the office by myself. But there's the link, you guys. Dropped in the chat. So if you guys would like to join the free Discord, I just put it in there. Again, join us for free content. We put out plenty of stuff throughout the week, and then we also have a VIP version available for people who would like to go for that option. But anyways, we've got news here, you guys, in just about 7 minutes. Actually, about 6 minutes now, which should be very interesting. Market moving to a lot of USD pairs, and will definitely be looking to try and either trail stops on this gold position that I have, or alternatively, I'll get stopped out and look for another opportunity to potentially enter. So that's kind of my process there with gold. Is I'm, until further notice, just going to be trying to let this thing make its mind up. It may rally and continue higher from here, which would be excellent, or it may pull back, in which case I'll stop out for break even, which is totally fine too. So again, one more time before I take it off the screen, remember to grab this link here if you would like to join the free Discord channel. We share, it's kind of like our Telegram channel. If you're in that, we share much of the same content. But again, basically, we'll share analysis and ideas. There's 836 of you guys here. If you don't mind, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We've got a couple minutes here before the news. I got here early to the office so that we could get some time in on the charts. But let's take a look here now at a couple more pairs prior to the news. I mentioned dollar CAD. So dollar CAD, right? Dollar CAD looking like it's pulling back here, and we actually have some intraday stuff. Very aggressive move here from the dollar Canadian dollar right now. You know what? Actually, I want to take a look at, here's something interesting. If you're looking at Aussie pairs, if you're looking at NZD pairs, these things have been trading like a beast. Take a look at, real quick, we'll come back to these individual pairs, but Aussie dollar, look at NZD USD, look at AUD JPY and NZD JPY. The moral of the story, these things are flying high. And the question is that going to continue? And you may be saying, well, Nick, those won't move off of the NFP news, will they? Well, they might. The thing is, NFP news can be globally impactful as the whole world kind of watches what the U.S. economy is doing. So if there's any pullback, if there's fear in terms of optimism around the U.S., if that kind of goes out the window, we could potentially also see some sympathy moves from pairs, for example, like NZD JPY. So if you're looking at NZD JPY and you've been saying, okay, I want to get in on this action, there may be some opportunities to look for pullbacks here. So let's actually mark a couple of zones. I just want to have these on our charts in case we do see a big dip. Should we see a pullback, I would be looking at potentially picking up some NZD JPY. I want to buy Aussie Yen, NZD JPY, Aussie Swiss, Kiwi Swiss. Those kind of pairs are ones that I have my eye on. And again, nice higher lows on this market. Just one of the more strong pairs that I'm currently watching. So I definitely would like to be a buyer if I can get an opportunity to do so. I will probably be looking at that. It may have to be next week. Let's expose myself a little bit. I did get a little bit of I got beat up on CAD yen. So I tried to buy for a similar reasoning. Oil prices on the rise, but the Canadian dollar kind of took a hit. So we'll cover a loss here. I think it's important just to talk about losses, just like we talk about wins. 77,000 units. I went long, and then price just did not hold out. So we basically, the idea here, I still stand by this trade. I don't think that there was anything, of course, sometimes you just take trades and they just don't work. But to me, this was a technically beautiful trend, nice upward strength, pullback to support. And you can kind of see that this trade did not work out. So I tried two different levels. So check this out. I'm just giving you the transparency right now, the best I can. I took two losses on this pair. And here was the reasoning. Okay. So CAD yen, and I also, watching this NFP news will be interesting to see if CAD yen can find a bottom, etc. But so I went long here, bought, got stopped out. And then I tried again on a retest of this 61.8% retracement. It went in my favor a little bit, but then rolled over and stopped me out again. Was not able to get break even on either one of these. Took two full L's. That's an L in the chat. Can we get some oofs in the chat for me? That was a little bit of a tough start to my day, but it happens. It's fine. And of course, I've got that. Let's get some oofs in the chat real quick. So oof in the chat, if you don't mind, for my pitiful losses here today. We're exposing myself in front of the whole world. There's 932 people watching me make a silly trade, but it happens, right? We've got to accept it. The reason I do that is because I know that there's a lot of traders who you're sick of only seeing people win on YouTube because they only show you when they're winning. Guys, we've got 2 minutes here or less, actually, a minute and a half until the news comes in hot for the dollar. Speaking of the dollar, here's what we're doing prior to the news. We've got a couple minutes here, 5 minutes before the news. Sorry, not 5 minutes. A minute here until the news, but look at this 5-minute chart. We see a pullback in the dollar. Will this continue? What's going to happen with the dollar on the release? We're going to watch a couple different things. Actually, you know what? I'm in sprinter mode here. Do we have CAD news? We do not. So we won't look at dollar CAD. We'll look at some other pairs here. on the release. 1 minute to go, you guys. If you're new to the stream, make sure to subscribe and don't go anywhere after the initial spike, because we've got some post news analysis that we'll do here. So what we'll do is let's take a look at Euro USD. This is going to be an interesting one to watch. We're looking at the 5-minute chart. We'll full screen this so we can get the full effect. If you guys see my face light up because the screen got so bright from a crazy green or red candle, then you'll know that, you know, I died doing what I love. So here we go. We got 30 seconds until the news release. Thank you guys very much for being here, by the way. It really does mean the world. I'll never forget being in my college dorm doing this for 2 or 3 people on the live stream and being just as happy. So I appreciate you guys for being a part of the content. 900 people. That's kind of amazing. So thank you. Yeah, we'll take a look at gold in just a second. We've got 10 seconds here until the release. So let's see what happens here. Maybe we'll pull up gold here on the side panel. So here's gold. We've got gold and the euro. Here comes the spike. Let's see what the numbers bring us. Nothing just yet. Let's see if we get any reaction here. Euro dollar making a little bit of a move higher. Gold rallying a little bit. Okay, some strength coming in on gold. You guys know I'm bullish on gold, so I'm rooting for this one to go up. We'll see what happens here. Euro erasing those gains a little bit, very quickly stuffed back down. Let's see. My trading screen frozen. What if your screen is frozen, your broker may just be pausing on volume. A lot of times that is a thing that lots of brokers will do. Okay, nothing crazy yet. Let's take a look around USD CAD. USD CAD pulling back. We see the dollar coming down against the Canadian dollar. DXY itself is spiking back. What is the numbers? Anybody got the numbers? Do me a favor. 678K on NFP. My goodness. Okay, well, maybe we had something that we're missing here in terms of numbers. If anybody has the unemployment rate, that would be interesting to see as well. We're waiting on the numbers. Okay, 3.8% and better jobs numbers. This is very interesting. What is so what's average hourly earnings forecast of 0.5% came out as 0%? Is that what's keeping us from rallying here? Because it does look like the dollar. Well, you know what? Okay, here's the thing, right? We had forecast for very high jobs numbers. So this is kind of in reference to the idea. 3.8%. Thank you guys for that in the chat. We've got 3.8% unemployment rate. These are strong numbers. It's interesting to see that the dollar is not rallying more than this. But I suppose that part of this is that, okay, here's the thing, right? The idea is that we have already kind of priced in. You see the market rallying dramatically before the actual news event. And this is basically because people were kind of forecasting strong numbers based on some of the reports that came out. So I guess that we're kind of just holding, which if you're a dollar bull, is half the battle, right? Just seeing this thing hold these recent gains, if you've been holding on to swings, is still kind of a win. Now, the dollar, if we had seen anything poor, could have pulled back dramatically, but we did not quite see that. So we are still we're still seeing to see if there's any post-news volatility. Here's a little bit of dollar weakness coming in here. Again, very strong numbers for the dollar. We've got, let's recap the numbers one more time here. We'll pull them up just so we can see it together. So we've got 678K, if I get this off my screen, 678K new jobs, right? Which is excellent, higher than expected in terms of forecast. Jobs in terms of unemployment rate were better than expected as well, 3.8% coming in on the unemployment rate as opposed to the forecast 3.9%. So this is good. This is good. But here, average hourly earnings. Let's take a look at this. So average hourly earnings is the change in price businesses pay for labor, excluding the farming industry. And so it's a leading indicator of consumer inflation. When businesses pay more for labor, the higher costs are usually passed on to the consumer. So interesting that we had a pretty substantial miss there in terms of the expected. So you can actually see a forecast of 0.5% coming in at 0.0%, right? So we actually saw a pretty dramatic difference there. However, that dollar is still looking real strong. I mean, overall, granted, you know, it could potentially come back in the next couple hours a little bit, right? Pull back a little bit. But overall, this dollar is on fire. We see a very, very strong market for the US dollar at the time of making this. For the time being, I am bullish in the dollar until further notice. And this news here today did not change that for me at all. So we'll continue to take a look at this and take a look at a couple more pairs as we get into it. So USD CHF, what about this one? So dollar Swiss, in terms of the dollar Swiss, we've kind of just been sitting idle. Let's go take a look. We'll go look at the pound dollar here. What happened with this? So still hovering at support, you guys. So for those of you guys who were here with me earlier, we talked about pound dollar and coming down very, very strong here, sitting at support. The question is, can we, of course, break underneath that support? And we have not quite done that yet. You can see there's a wick on the bottom here. We've tried. So that what that means is that price did travel underneath, but it wasn't able to, or at least not yet, hold those moves lower. So if you're looking at the pound dollar and you're looking for bearish setups, I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying, can we actually get a failure to hold this level of support? Can we see the support break? And to me, the definition or my definition of breaking this would look like, a close lower on the 1 hour chart. Can we actually close underneath these previous lows? I would say that would be a pretty bearish thing for the pound dollar. By the way, you guys, if you're enjoying the stream, make sure to thumbs up down below and also subscribe if you're new to the content here. We do these NFP streams every month. So if you'd like to catch us next time, and as well as throughout the week, we do these on a regular basis. So make sure to subscribe. Okay, so pound dollar, right? Pound dollar underneath the lows, that's a big deal, right? But the question is, can we hold that? So if you're trading this thing, watch for breaks and closes underneath the lows. Let's take a look at pound yen here. What's the pound doing? The pound yen bleeding out here, not able to hold support. We saw a failure at a retest of support and basically erasing all of these gains. If you day trade or you trade pound yen in general, this thing is highly volatile. And right now we actually see the pound yen trading and bleeding lower here. Now, as we just discussed with the pound dollar, the question is with the pound yen, can we see a rinse and repeat concept? Can we break underneath the low? And that's the big deal. That's the big question for the pound yen bears, because again, we've seen higher lows. We've seen strength coming into this market. It's just a matter of whether or not we can actually break to new lows to find more sell pressure. Because as we stand, we are sitting at a support level. I wouldn't be buying the support level. What I'd be more interested in personally doing as a momentum trader is looking for continuation. And the sign of continuation that I'd be looking for would in fact be some sort of break underneath this level and looking for retest sells. The idea here being stops above structure, looking for good risk to reward. And in terms of where we could go, we've actually got to pull this support level all the way over here because we've kind of got a major support zone. If this breaks, you guys, you're talking about plenty of downside for the pound yen. And if you're day trading it, of course, there's probably some tighter ideas, but for a longer term concept, there's definitely the potential of, if we see true bearishness, continued risk off sentiment, the pound yen could potentially break underneath and continue back down to these lows around 150, that big round number. So keep that in mind. Keep that on your watch list if you are looking at this. Give me 1 second, guys. I got to fix this camera. For some reason, it is deciding to, there it is. It's deciding to fuzz up. Ivan is coming in, you guys. You guys ready for this? I'm excited to hear from him. Of course, let me just get a little bit prepared here. Of course, so here's the thing. I'm going to change the brand. We've got to get this all set up for Mr. Ivan. Let's get this background set up. We'll get some, there we go. We got a nice new background for Mr. Ivan. We're setting it all up. And here he is. Hello to Mr. Ivan. How you doing, sir? Look at this appearance, you guys. You don't get these kind of appearances on my channel. He's too good with it. Look at this. You've got the tuxedo on. He's got the sunglasses. He's got everything, you guys. I'm just being outplayed on this. So that's amazing. Excellent outfit, Ivan. How are you doing, sir?
Doing very well.
Hey, and what about all this dollar strength? Oh my goodness. Look at the DXY as we're speaking here. Look at the dollar just absolutely flying. This is crazy. What's your take on all this, Ivan?
Yeah, what is my take? I think, well, I'm getting pretty good at these prediction things as my rules, but
yeah.
So let's just go. Okay, just let's say you've been right. I was wrong this week. Congratulations.
Well, to be fair, I didn't have too many longs open myself, so I can't really claim a whole bunch of credit, but this is pretty incredible in terms of just a breakout. We haven't seen this, kind of clean breakout from a previous top in a while. We've actually had the dollar continuously kind of making these tops and then failing to ever get above them. But, it happens. The thing is, to be fair, Ivan, I've had not the best trading week and I've been missing out a little bit of this dollar. Yeah, no, I got beat up a little bit on the CAD. I mentioned that earlier in my stream. CAD was a little rough to me, so I'll show it to you real quick, and then we'll jump into your concepts here. So I went long CAD yen. So I got beat up on CAD yen twice. Tried at the 50%. Just it met all my criteria for an entry. Bullish on oil. Reasonable to me. It just I hate how TradingView does this sometimes, where it erases your orders. There it is. Okay, so I bought at the 50%, got stopped out, and then I tried one more time at the 61.8 and got stopped out here today. I'm not really too sure what's going on with it since the oil market itself has been doing fine. It's tricky, but that's my problems. Don't worry about my problems. Let's talk about this dollar here, and let's talk about what you're looking at, Mr. Ivan. What do you got going on?
I am in oil.
Okay.
I don't trade oil, but I'm in oil now.
I saw that you made a video about it. So tell us about oil. What's going on with oil? And if you want to share your screen, I'd love to see what you're looking at.
It's a Ukraine thing, but I see some issues here. And the issues is definitely that Mr. Iran is going back online. But just one more comment on CAD yen. The thing is that I talked about in the VIP live, in the VIP webinar on Wednesday, is when you have a central banking meeting and there's no more new updates as to future rate hikes more than market's already priced in, market falls. So
no, I definitely
now we know.
The CAD, a little bit of divergence from the oil market. It was tracking it very closely and then kind of fell apart. So perhaps that was a little bit of it in there. So you're looking at oil. You have a position open. Are you looking to buy? Yeah. What's your concept?
I bought. Well, I'm gonna go super technical, and I bought. Let's see which candle I bought. I bought this candle here, which is the low, the brick fall yesterday, coming back up, and then around 109.90. It's a bit of different price from my broker, but that's the same candle-ish. So I'm somehow in profit.
Okay, nice.
Somehow in profit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with oil pretty straight up. That's like, to me, oil and gold for now are just a straightforward story. And I feel like, Evan, we very commonly fall into the same line because we tend to trade those momentum, obvious, reasonable stories that are going on in the markets and not trying to fight the headlines all the time. And so I'm with you on oil. Where do you see oil going? What's your thoughts on that? You mentioned Iran situation. You've also obviously got the Ukraine and Russia situation as well. So what's your concepts on targets here? 125. Okay. Big round number. That's a ways away. You've got to scroll down for us to even see that, don't you? Yeah, look at that. 125 is far away. What's your reasoning behind 125?
I just saw another bank saying that, but I'm thinking, well, this sounds like a good idea. Also, it does. It has some reasons to it, and one of them is psychological. We broke 100. We broke 110, and I could also have said 120, but right now it's kind of like not necessarily shot in the darkness, but it's more like how far back do we go? Okay, so we go back to these levels here. This is around 125, and the technical reason is that my reasoning is underneath a peak, there is always going to be resistance around here. So in my analysis, it's somewhere around here and out, and I found 125 the other day at least, as to be a logical take profit place. But right now, also going into break even, it's going to be a very it's going to be a risk-free trade for me soon. So it's going to be to the moon. And also we are about to break this peak here, and that's why I see that we have more potential rises to the upside. Just one other comment, Edward Mickelson. If you have any questions, please, I will answer them. But other than that, I do see that Iran coming in is a danger to my theory to the upside. But as long as the market is still seeing the risk of Ukraine, the risk of Nord Stream went bankrupt, the company behind Nord Stream 2 actually filed for bankruptcy, I think yesterday or this morning. So that's definitely not good. definitely not good for the oil price.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is the process of turning this thing around with let's say the best case scenario, things start to turn around. There's still supply line issues. We saw this with the pandemic, right? It wasn't something that even when things started to adapt, it took time, and it's still taking time to fix the supply lines. So this disruption, I agree with you. I don't think that oil is done, in the sense that this disruption is not something that's just going to, okay, turn it back on, it's all good. This is going to be something that could potentially compound for a little while. And 125 to me sounds reasonable. I personally, I think that it potentially could go to 150. I mean, it's a shot in the dark, like you mentioned. It's a little bit of a ways away. But again, if anything worsens, 150 is very reasonable. If things subside, they could still kind of rise in the short term just due to supply line issues. That's my take on it personally.
But the thing is, for supply line, and for what's different here is, for example, when US oil went down to negative 36 back in COVID, that is because in America you have physical storage on land. You can't just put it on ships and sail it somewhere, so you can store it somewhere. So it's the oil being stored at the wrong place. It's somewhere in America, somewhere in Japan, and it's not where it's needed in Europe.
Sure.
So it's the physical distance from we have oil for 1.5 years of Russian production, if that goes away, but it's not where it needs to be, and that's why we are seeing the oil price going so high.
Sure. Yeah, no, and I think going off of your concept there, I wanted to ask you a question too, because I've been facing this, and you may have heard something similar. So this concept, right, with oil buying it, obviously from the weekly chart, I'm long on gold as well, and it kind of looks a little bit silly when you look at the weekly chart. You're like, how are you long up here? It looks like it's way too high. But the problem is, right, a lot of times new traders, they get caught up trying to fight momentum, and the momentum around this story right now is very, very strong. So, Ivan, for just playing devil's advocate, again, I agree with you, but why would you buy up here? It seems so high. What would be your response to that for people who ask you that sort of question?
It's a scalp. I have low risk, as to, if I lose, I don't lose much. But also, I have then again used my rules of engagement. So I'm following my strategy that I have through demo trading. Yes. Proven that is profitable. And why would I buy so high is because I'm generally mostly a trend trader. So as long as this trend continues, I am then going to continue buying. And then, yes, we have gone through all the targets that I've had, weekly, monthly, whatever it is. So we are very high, yes, but that's also when you adapt yourself to the situation by going down to scalping and not expecting too much. But when you do get it, you hold on for dear life.
Yes, and it's sometimes these are the moves that if you can catch something, like you just said, hold on to dear life. If you can catch them and hold on to them in a rare situation where it just does not stop flying in one direction, those are the best kinds of trades. You can capture great risk to reward. So I'm definitely with you on that. Ivan, what's your thoughts on gold following up on this? Of course, I mentioned I'm bullish on gold. That's the one trade that's kind of been holding out for me this week. Bought gold at 19. What did I buy it at? I bought gold at my level is, if I can find it, I just pulled it up. 1926 is where I got in on gold. So what do you think about gold right now?
I mentioned 1920 as the absolute support needs to hold for a continuation of the bullish trend. And I kind of also need to say that gold can move a lot on NFP. So just to make sure that even though it comes down pretty hard, it can still go higher. And 1920 was my psychological cutout, and we are still higher. And for me and gold at the moment is, well, technically we can just make a higher high, pull back something on Monday, and we are still very much bullish. And I've seen people being afraid of gold falling. It is definitely a legitimate feeling. But right now, we are technically bullish. We're technically supposed to make a higher high. You just need to see the actual make a new higher high. So right now, I'm cautiously bullish.
Yeah, and I think my process with that is similar to you. I've had to kind of step outside of my comfort zone in the sense of gold because if I look at the weekly chart, I don't love it. But as a momentum trader, I like it on the weekly. It looks very strong, but I don't like to be buying up in these areas. However, like you kind of mentioned, going with the flow, being a little bit shorter term, and managing your risk with tight stops with this sort of approach, for me, is kind of the plan here. Until this story subsides, I don't think that you're gonna get. You actually made a point one time. We talked about this, Ivan, with dollar CAD. We had a huge move up, and you said if this retraces 100%, the story is done. You said that recently about, I think it was something Bank of Canada related or something. It was a huge pop on the dollar CAD. And the thing is, right, it's a similar story in my book with gold. If we see a massive correction, the story has probably subsided by then. Something has changed in the momentum story. So that's kind of my process on gold. I can't remember exactly when that was.
But yeah.
Yeah, just the idea of 100% retracement after a very strong rally is concerning because what caused it to 100% retrace. So for me on gold, I'm looking for shallow retracements and bailing on it if it breaks, complete structure. So that would be my personal take on it. So what else are you looking at, Ivan? So you've got the oil trade on. Is there anything else that you're trading or looking at?
S&P 500, just a 20-year trade that I'm trying to get going. I'm just tracking what the banks are currently doing. They're currently just having 1 basis point rate hike, so we're still good. Because just one more thing is that Powell said yesterday that they are opening up for 2 rate hikes in 1 meeting, and they needed strong job report. We have that now, but I might be subjected to that being the next meeting in May. I have S&P 500 open, and my entry is probably the best one I've ever done. There.
Okay, hey, you know what? It's an entry. It is an entry. Hey, you know what, you guys, if you're watching this stream and you're enjoying this transparency, Ivan and I have both been talking about our ups and our downs here. So this happens. It doesn't matter how good you are, how long you've been doing this. Sometimes you just take a trade and it's not what you intended it to do, but it's all good. So what's your idea here with S&P? You still giving it some room to run?
Yeah. That was the higher high. I was thinking, yes, finally we're going higher.
Sure.
Let's go Bulls. No.
It baited you a little bit. It got you on that one. It's okay though. It happens. Like I said, I got beat up this week a little bit on my cat idea. So it happens.
So it's an aggressive trade. I identify that stop loss is somewhere around below these lows here. And it's a small one. It's like, okay, if we are able to break higher, then I'm going to go more aggressive, going to more buying on the pullbacks. But of course, it's just the first attempt. Does it stick? Does it not? If it not, okay, we'll wait for a new higher high then. Because I am very super chill about S&P 500 or the stock market because it's going to go up in the end. I just don't know which day it's going to be. And sure. I have plenty of room to still try my shots over there. So
you saw that one? That's a sniper entry. Feisty Tom in the chat. Good one.
Good one, Tom. So that is my advantage of my strategies as well as yours. Once I get it going, I become way more aggressive. Sure. I add way more trades. Always having 1 trade full stop loss, but taking trades into break even, take it into break even as we continue higher.
Yeah, and I'm definitely with you. There's nothing wrong with throwing darts, trying it out small, and then building into a position. I think personally, I definitely like what you mentioned about adding. Some of my best trades personally usually are trades in which I add. They're things that I build into. So yeah, definitely interesting. So you're looking at S&P 500. You're looking at oil. Anything else that you're trading, or is that everything you've got for now?
Euro broke 110.
Okay. Yep.
And I said, I will see a bounce here today.
Yeah. This thing is, I think it died, Ivan. I think it went home for the holidays or something. The holidays aren't even here. It just went home.
It just literally just went to bankruptcy, like died.
Terrible. So the euro dollar absolutely collapsed. And this is a sore subject for me, Ivan. I've been short bias on the euro dollar for weeks, and I wanted this. I wanted it so well. Actually, I caught a good move previously, but I didn't catch this part. So of course, the FOMO part of me is sitting here like, I wish I shoulda, coulda, woulda been in this FOMO trade, but it happens. But that's a crazy sell-off. That was hard to try and call that kind of move.
Do we need to have a Zoom call about your psychology here, Nick?
I think so. I think so.
We
need to have a second stream
this
here.
is supposed to be your absolute prime trade, and this should be going.
I know. I think I need a break. I think I need to step away from the screen for a little bit. Now that's someone said looks like a nuclear entry, Ivan. We're having fun, you guys. It's Friday. We gotta rejoice in our losses because they all happen to all of us. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing. Smug guys, we're smug around here. We gotta be smug. We gotta have fun with it because man, this is the worst. Is when you have an idea for a couple weeks and then you watch it sail away from the dock without you. But it's okay. There's always markets back in the next week and the next day. That's at least what you got to keep telling yourself. Okay, cool, Ivan. I think that's gonna wrap it up for me. If you have anything else that you'd like to add before we go, you're more than welcome to. But as always, thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Guys, Ivan will be back more often in the future. He is a regular on the content, and people, you guys love him on the A1 Trading channel. We keep having him on there, and everybody loves having Ivan on. So if you'd like to find out more about Ivan, if you'd like to work with him more, he's got a great YouTube channel of his own. One more time, let me make sure I can write that out for you some way. Let me see. You know what? Here, we'll just bring him back in. He's right here. Ivan. He's got us right here. Go find him, you guys. Ivan FX. Here you go. Ivan FX. There he is. Go follow Ivan on YouTube. He deserves 2 subscriptions if you can give it to him. But that's all I've got. Thank you, Ivan. So guys, again, go follow Ivan on YouTube and on Instagram. I think he has an Instagram as well. I don't know if he uses it very much. I don't use mine very much. But guys, thank you for being here. Appreciate you being a part of today's stream. If you enjoyed it in any way, shape, or form, make sure to subscribe to myself, to Ivan. Come back and see us again in the future. I hope you have a great rest of your trading day. We've got a little bit left of the day, so please trade safe. And with that said, we will see you back in the next one.
Thanks again for watching today's show. Our goal at A1 Trading is to continue to share free value to our audience through daily videos and articles, keeping you up to date with the latest market coverage. If you enjoy our content, make sure to subscribe for more. And remember to check the description below if you're looking for a new broker, trying to get funded, or looking for a trading community to join. From all of us at A1 Trading, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.